exiting the void. Who is she? No desire to be anywhere, do anything. You don't really know who you are. You just kind of just like, it's just like nothing. And I was listening to that and I was like, man, okay, sounds a little familiar. So I created a video about 2 years ago about my experience with the spiritual void that I went through, and a lot of you are probably here because of that, but I wanted to give an update. And back when I released it, I was getting a lot of traction on it, and I had a lot of people that were coming to me and they were like, you should make another video, you need to ride this wave, you need to keep posting more videos about this to gain more traction. And honestly, that sounds great, but that's not authentic to me and who I am, because I was like, I can't even do that. That's not authentic, because I really need to integrate the lessons that I've learned. And so now here we are 2 years later. I want to share with you the lessons that I've learned and really what's happened afterwards, and a lot of the things that have come to my mind where I'm like, it makes sense now. So in that video, I spoke about this spiritual void that I was going through, where I was going through this season, this phase in my life where I was exhausted. I had lack of like attention span, like I could not focus on anything. I felt this feeling that I really just described as like nothingness. I had very intense and severe depression. I was very overwhelmed. My emotions were kind of like all over the place. I really had a hard time regulating my emotions. And so I fell into this deep pit of like, I didn't want to do anything. The things that I used to do just were no longer interesting or fun to me. I basically could not show up in my relationships. I could not show up for work in the way that I wanted to. I just could not show up as a human being. I really was struggling every single day to get out of bed because I just felt so stuck in life, if that makes sense. And so after rewatching this video and after looking at myself, first of all, I was like, wow, okay, I was beautiful. Still am. I'm looking back at this video and I'm like, oh my God, girl, you have no idea what is about to happen to your life. So I'm like looking back and I'm connecting all the dots, because that is, for one really great thing about journaling. I highly really recommend journaling. If you can journal to look back ever at your life, highly recommend it. So I look back, and what I thought made sense then, I now understand in a whole new light. It makes way more sense now what I was going through. So I was in this spiritual void, and basically what I realized is I was evolving on my spiritual journey, okay? I was evolving on my spiritual journey, and I realized that I slipped into this place because I had a lot of goals. I had a lot of aspirations. There was a person that I really wanted to become. There was a portion of my life that I had not entered yet, and this spiritual void caused me to stop and step back. And really, honestly, I had to take a break before I entered that phase of my life. And I think that this is something that happens with honestly anyone, regardless of what you are going through. Whether you are someone that is spiritual or not, whether you practice spirituality, whether you believe in a higher power or not, you are going to go through phases of your life where you have to stop and you have to be in that place, and you have to be in this like winter moment of your life, because as you evolve as a person, as you evolve in life, you start to understand yourself more, and you start to get more clear about the things that you want in your life. And that is really what was happening for me, is that I started to, and it was more subtle than anything because it was more subconscious than anything, is that I started to understand that I had goals. I had a very specific outlook that I was trying to have, and a very specific embodiment that I wanted to have in my life. And I had aspirations, and where I was currently was not aligning with those goals and those aspirations and that person that I wanted to be. And so what was causing it was this dichotomy of like, this is where I want to be, but this is who I currently am. And so it caused me to really be like, I had to hit a wall. And I had to hit that depression in order for me to reel it back in and set myself down in this place and honestly reflect and integrate, because where I wanted to be and who I was not aligning. And so spirit was really causing me to get into this depression, and I'm going to elaborate more on the other way I could have went with this. But I noticed that looking back now, like as I was getting older, and as I was evolving on my journey, I was getting more clear about who I was. But at the same time, ironically, it's so weird, so ironic that this happens to us, is that the more I was like, this is what I want, this is what I want for my life, this is where I want to be, this is who I am, the more I got more clear, the more confused I became on who I was. And this is so common, I feel like, for people, like I said, whether you're on a spiritual journey or you don't believe in that, even if you're just aging and evolving and wandering down the path of your life, the more clear you get about the goals that you have and where you want to be, the more confused you're going to be about who you are, because suddenly you're like, this is what I want, but this is who I am and this is who I've been. This doesn't make any sense. This is like so confusing for me because it's pulling away from everything I've ever known. It's pulling away from the cycles that I'm trying to break and the person I want to become. It's really pulling me apart. I feel like I'm being pulled in so many different directions. And that's really what was happening for me, is that I was being pulled in all of these directions, and I was so confused about it because I wanted to be authentic to myself. And that's really what this spiritual journey was for me, is coming back home and being authentic to myself. And I saw for so long I was really struggling against that. I was really struggling. It was like the signs were so clear, and I had to really slip into this spiritual void in order to get back to myself. And honestly, it was like the universe was really forcing me to take a break. And I uploaded that video back in September 2 years ago. But the lessons, the integration after exiting the spiritual void did not happen for me until, I would say, around March or April the following year. So like this happened in fall, and then everything started to really integrate, where my life changed dramatically by March of the next year. And I noticed that what happened was I went into this void. I was super depressed, and then I started to feel really good. I started to find myself again. I was, doing things. I started to take care of myself again. I started to feel optimistic and motivated and uplifted. And I was like, things actually feel pretty good in my life. But that winter, I was met with challenges, and I was like, okay, so I'm equipped to deal with this. I'm feeling much better because I'm getting more clear about myself and my goals. But it came around springtime, where it was like all of the challenges that I had been met with through that spiritual void really started to integrate. And Spirit was really pushing me to honestly, like, Lacey, is this what you want with your life? Because right now, everything is going to blow up in your life, and you need to be prepared for it. You have been prepared for it this whole time through that spiritual void, because I helped you by resting you. I helped you by helping you relax. I helped you by integrating the messages, because you intuitively know where you want to go with your life, and now it's go time. And that's really what happened to me in that spiritual void. It was like I was resting, I was relaxing, because in that spring, it was go time for me. I realized that a lot of my authenticity and who I thought I was really being challenged, because I needed to end my relationship. I needed to move away from where I was living. I needed to change my job. I needed to change how I look, how I feel about myself. I needed to change everything about me, because that old life just no longer resonated. And Spirit was really preparing me for this moment in my life of massive, massive, massive change. And I will say that after that following year from like March 2023 on, like it was like, honestly, it was like I hit spiritual void part 2. And that was really because I had a really, really, really hard time integrating the lessons that I had learned from the first time. And so Spirit was really pushing me to this place where I was like, I felt like, that meme, I'll probably put it on here, that meme of Squidward where he's standing in a blank room and he's like so confused about where he is, and he's like holding a flute. That was me all throughout 2023. I was really just trying to figure out who I am, what I wanted, because then I was like, okay, Spirit, I changed everything. I completely shattered the foundation of everything I had ever known. What am I doing now? And so then I started to integrate. I was like, okay, well, you know what? Nothing is the same now. I'm really being challenged right now. Now is the go time. Now it's like, okay, so let's just keep moving from here. But because I had been in that void and I had rested and I had relaxed, I felt like I was in a much better place to be like, okay, there's opportunity here. I have no idea what's happening, but there's opportunity here. Now, the other way that I could have went with this the first time, and I'm going to say that when I approached the beginning of this year of 2024, I approached another type of spiritual void. And I realized that they can show up in many different ways depending on how we receive them and what we're needing from our life in the present moment. So, what happened for me in around January of this year, I approached a season where I was like in this void, but I was ready and I was prepared for it. So whereas last time I went on this void where I was like, nothing, I want to lay in bed, I can't do anything, I don't want to talk to people, I can't handle the outside world. That's what I needed in the moment. January of this year, I approached a different avenue of a spiritual void where I was hunkering down. I was hyper fixed on my goals. I was immediately like, okay, and my goals being the person that I want to become, how I want to deal with situations, how I want to regulate my nervous system, how I want to grow, how I want to change, how I want to expand, what I want from my life, and how I'm going to show up as the person that has the things that I desire. And so that avenue was me putting my head down. It was me focusing. I was journaling 3 to 4 times a day. I was dealing with things, EFT tapping, whatever it is that I needed to do in the moment, because I got to a place where I was like, I will not lay in bed. I will not let this consume me. But that is what I needed from that moment in that phase in my life. I got to a place where I was like, I am going to be so focused. And that was a different type of void. I was cutting myself off from the rest of the world in a way that I was losing relationships and friendships with people and cutting them off and burning bridges and jobs. All kinds of things were changing in my life, but I wasn't resting in a way that I felt like I needed to step back and just really relax and be quiet. It was more like I need to be quiet, but I need to be hyper focused on myself at this present moment in order for me to move forward. And so I realized that those are 2 different types of voids that you can endure when you are changing your life. And I wouldn't say that one is better than the other or one is more necessary. I would just say that there are different phases for these different avenues in your life. And I have a lot of gratitude for both avenues because both avenues I was able to integrate the lessons. But I would say that the biggest lessons that I learned through either one of these voids, but mainly I'm talking about the first one, the one where I was super, super depressed, is that when I want something, when I am trying to embody the person that I want to be, when I am not really living in alignment with myself and my natural flows of life, I still need to have ultimate, true love and grace for myself, regardless of where I am. Because regardless of what path that I need to take, I need to ultimately say, this is where I am. It's not ideal. I don't love where I am, but I love myself. I love myself enough to allow myself to go with the natural rhythm of my life right now. And I love myself enough to respect this season that I'm in. And I think that it's really important, no matter what avenue that you take, to hibernate in a way that the messages still come through for you. To hibernate in a way that you are protecting your peace most of all. Protecting your peace, loving yourself, being graceful with yourself, and saying, this is where I am, and I'm so thankful for it. Neutralizing that emotion, because a lot of what I went through a lot of times was me resisting it and not really giving into it, instead of me just saying, okay, well, I can just sit here and I can allow myself to be in this shitty situation and figure out what's happening. So I would say the biggest lesson, if you are in this depression, this lay low, relaxed energy of like, I just need to back away from everyone, everything, anything that I used to do, I just need to take a step back. If you're in that moment, I would say just asking yourself, really, what is calling out to me right now? What is spirit trying to tell me right now? What is it that I need to integrate in order to continue and move forward to the next phase of my life? Because I know that I'm relaxing and I'm here for a reason, in order to prepare me for something greater. Or if you are in this hyper fixed mode like I was earlier this year, where you are like, I just need to put my blinders on and I need to work on myself right now before I'm able to move forward, but I'm incredibly motivated and I'm ready to go and I'm focused, I would just say to that, tunnel vision, baby. tunnel vision, because what you need right now is your tunnel vision. Put your blinders on, focus on yourself, love yourself through the process. Don't wear yourself out by any means. Don't burn yourself out by any means, but tunnel vision, focus, because you're already there. You know, you're putting in the energy, you're halfway there to something that is really, really great. But regardless, I really just wanted to send out this update for you guys and just let you know that what you are going through right now, there is something so great, so profound that is about to happen in your life. And the biggest thing that you can do right now is just allow yourself to integrate this change into your life with ease. Allow yourself to let go of what you need to let go of. Allow yourself to focus on yourself. Do not put anyone else above you at this present moment, because your priority is yourself. Remember that it is selfish to put yourself last. Remember that. So just going through this season of your life with ease and just giving yourself love, and remembering that something is literally right around the corner for you. And I hope you guys are getting something from this. If you are still, in a spiritual void, or if you haven't watched that video yet, just watch it. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. If you have something to add to this video, if you learned something, if you want to share something about your journey, just please leave me a comment, because I do love reading those comments and I love hearing what your experiences are. Right now, I am sending you so much love and so much light. And just remember that what you are going through, this too shall pass, and you are going to be on the other side, on that mountain, looking down at the valley like, damn, I did that. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. I will see you again soon. Bye.